Coming up next on TV Tacoma, Across the Fence, and later, NASA 360.
Today's show is on Tacoma's North End.
Today, our guests are Erik Bjornson and Kyle Price for the North End Neighborhood Council. Welcome to Across the Fence.
Thank you.
Glad to have you guys here. So lots happening on the North End, I understand.
You want to talk to us about some of the recent developments in the Proctor District? That's a busy, happening place right now.
It is.
Go local, right?
Go local, that's right. Yeah, and I think we just approved the, she brought her artwork in front of the North End Neighborhood Council, and we funded it based, it was going to be a local thing right by the Northwest shop. It was going to, but we wanted to, when we funded it, to make sure we could approve it, to make sure it was local appropriate and child appropriate also. Now, one thing that people might also notice in Proctor is that the Safeway is now, there's a new Safeway. Well, it's not a new Safeway, but it's being expanded there. That was something that the North End Neighborhood Council was intimately familiar with. Safeway, of course, has been there since about the 50s, 1950s, and it's kind of a suburban type, box on a big parking lot with a lot of parking. And their first proposal was to actually put a cinder block wall right on Proctor. So that would have been right beside the sidewalk. Yeah. And they came out, and a number of us have kind of studied urban design, and we said, you should build it, with windows there, with an entrance there, and do something, this is our main street in Proctor. And they came back, and their first response was, well, we can't really do that. It's not physically possible to build one unless you have, a cinder block wall on Proctor. So what we did was first of all, we opposed it as a neighborhood council. And then what we did is we found different, in like Portland and San Francisco, models of Safeways where they had windows all around them. Okay. And then we sent those to them. And then I think they came back finally in a meeting with a much better design with windows all around it. Now there's going to be a plaza that's going to be right on the corner of Proctor and I think 25th that's going to have a little eating area. So it's really going to be a nice area. And then we went ahead and approved the new design, the North End Neighborhood Council. So that's a real improvement. That's a real success, I think, that we had.
A great example of what a neighborhood council can do, the impact that you can have.
And then we also were happy, too, because we weren't seen as what's thought of as NIMBYs, where we're just opposing everything and we're just entrenching ourselves. So we saw something bad, we asked them to improve it, and pretty forcefully with a lot of research, and then they did improve it. And and then now I think we're going to get a nice Safeway. And this is important because Proctor is our main street.
Right. Now, when are you expected to start work or complete that work on the Safeway?
I think they're going to do it in the next 4 or 5 months. They've got cinder blocks. They got part of the foundation poured already. Elton. Okay. And it's a good spot there. And I think the city's also doing some not roundabout, but kind of some work on the intersection of Proctor and 26. So. Okay,
because there's been a lot of work being done in that area. Yeah, that's super. Now, what else is happening? I mean, Proctor, then you got the Old Town, you got the Six and Pine, and you got the little bridge area on what, 21st, 22nd? And these are kind of pretty busy little areas also.
What? Yeah, well, it's been a struggle. I'll tell you, the mixed-use centers, they deal with two very, very sensitive issues, height and parking. And both of those usually turn out people because they're very, very worried about those. The history of Tacoma is that Tacoma was built in a very walkable, friendly way. If you look at Proctor, you look at Old Town and things like that, the old style. And then after World War II, the city at that point put it in an onerous requirement, basically required everything to be built in the form of a strip mall. So if you look at places that were built afterwards, like Westgate or the mall, it's just kind of there's no pedestrians around, it's just a mass of traffic. So what we really pushed for in the North End is to make the transition from kind of the car-centric mentality to, a walkable urban village. And so now we're going to allow higher heights. We're requiring builders to build up near the sidewalk and then have entrances and glass near the sidewalk, and then so you can walk around. If you go by borders, like on 38th Street, there's literally thousands of cars passing every 10 or 15 minutes, and very few pedestrians. So we're trying to get something better than that.
Interesting. Well, you guys spend so much time on these kind of projects and trying to help out your neighborhood. What motivates you to do that?
Job has to necessarily connect to it.
And Eric, let's hear about what motivates you.
Well, yeah, I'll tell you, most people on neighborhood councils get in there because of a burning issue that they're faced with in some way. I think I first got involved in city politics because I think they're going to start putting a burning facility for garbage down on the waterfront. So I started getting involved, and I said, where can I do that? And it's very hard at the city level. It's a city of over 200,000. So where can you start getting involved? And that's your local neighborhood council. And if you look at the north end, you know, that and all the good things there, that's the culmination of, I mean, the burden's heavy. It's the culmination of many, many people's work over the last 100 years that have worked to kind of do that. And so, you know, if you want something, if you want to improve something, and I think after you live in an area a certain amount of time, you kind of grow roots in it, and then you start caring about when you're seeing something strange happen, or something the city's doing, or something else. So that makes people excited and feel like they have a stakeholder interest in there.
Well, just keep up the good work. I didn't want to cut you off, but we got another segment we're going to talk about open space, but we certainly have enjoyed the information both of you have provided. And like I said, keep up the good work, encourage others to participate, and thank you so much.
Thanks. Thanks a lot.